Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. We are here working on stuff. Apparently, my OBS wants to do an update there. All right. So what we have is yesterday we finished up getting the cameras, the ThreeJS cameras, to show properly. So now we should just check to see if it works as we want it to work before we move on to, it looks like geometries. So we add one, we see we have our camera. This is it. We can expand and look in here and see, like, this camera has a matrix. I have any idea what that is. Has this up? Oh, I think this defines like what up means. So in different libraries, sometimes in this example, what we're seeing here is that up is one along the y-axis, but sometimes up will be one along the z-axis. I think there are some physics engines that are set up that way. And field of view near, and all of these things are settable. I don't know what this film offset or film gauge is. I've never seen those two or interacted with those two before. But anyway, so the goal is, see if we come over here, we can see all of our STIDs, and then if we go, if we click on this button, we can see where it is in the table, and then we can delete it if we hit back. And the goal is that when we go into 3, it's gone. And sure enough, it's gone. So we do not have a um, ThreeJS object that's just sticking around doing nothing, aka a memory leak. So now we want to move on to, um, we could do it like a commit and all that, but I would rather move on to geometry. So basically, there's a lot of steps, and we've only gone through this whole process one time, so the steps aren't exactly clear. But I'm going to start in here, this 3 table component. I'm going to close everything else. And oh, today is May 31st, 2026, Sunday. And then it's my son's birthday. So that is so fun. So fun, fun in the sun. All right, so here we go. We've got our TypeScript. We've got a function for toggling. We've got a table transform function. So like this is a function for like real-time interactions. So this is a function that's for like building stuff. Building, I guess it's data management mutation. And then let's go up. So it's kind of weird because you have like functions that are really for 2 dramatically different things sitting in the same file. This is constructor, and this is like by definition, data, just general setup. So basically what's happening is that we have set this thing up to interact directly with the 3 camera service, and it has a public camera dictionary hash and a public camera dictionary. And basically this hash will fire a signal. It is a hash of a primitive value, so it will fire. It's fine, honey. Um, it will fire if anything changes in here. So the hash gets calculated based on what's in here, and then that. And I don't know. The hash is very expensive, so I don't know if calculating and generating these hashes is going to get overwhelming. We'll see how that works. I just don't know. All right, so now we decided we wanted to go in geometries, right? Because that was next on the list. So we know we're going to need the geometry service. So I guess we might as well do that. Let's say 3 geometry service. And it is a geometry service. So for some reason, I remember going back and forth, but I had finally decided instead of the name of this 3 geometry service, I would name it geometry service, and then by default it's 3. That was a terrible idea, um, but it's not the end of the world. It just wasn't a great idea. and then it decided to inject it for me. I mean, to import it for me. And then I use a function called inject to inject it into, to get access to it, to get a reference to the singleton that is called 3Geometry service. Now I'm assuming I probably don't have anything in there that I can use. Yeah, see, I have a geometry dictionary, but I do not have a anything like a publisher of any kind, so like we do in the camera service. So now we'll go over there. So we do need the we know we need the hash service, and we know. I wonder, can I hold the control button down? Oh no, this is probably not control. No, I was wondering if I could. It's like this hash service. Well, okay, let's just go ahead and do that. Go back and go back to our geometry service, and come back over here and grab our hash service. I don't know what I just did. Oh, okay, I needed it to be down here. I don't think we need this comment anymore because we are starting that. We need to import our hash service. For some reason, it didn't decide to import this one automatically. We need to import our injector, and that needs to come from Angular Core. And I don't think inject and injectable. Is this a okay? Yeah, inject is what makes it to where you can inject something. Injectable makes it to where it can be injected. We're kind of like, if you see inject and injectable in your imports, then you probably have a you. It's a bit of a red flag. It's not like like never ever do this, but it is like one of those things like, huh, I need to pay attention to that. If we don't pay attention to that, we could find ourselves very confused very quickly, because it's easy to get like a if something gets injected that is injecting it, then you could you could end up with a cyclic runtime error, which is just a nightmare situation. All right, so we did our hash injection. Now let's go back to our. I don't know why it keeps. Okay, so come over here to our camera service and see how it's kind of like in italics up there. That means that if I leave the tab, it'll shut down. We don't want that. So basically, we want to do something around this. And we want to go here. And we want to do this. This is going to be our public geometry dictionary. Let's just copy the word geometry. And I've noticed this sort of like everything coalescing into a single um, file. It just kind of keeps happening, you know. Um, and I've never really thought about it before, but it definitely feels like something um, to pay attention to. Um, Probably a really good opportunity. Not that it's a problem. It's just it feels like it's an opportunity for like a optimization to make things better. Okay, so writable signal definitely needs to come from Angular Core. Three camera dictionary. So we don't want a three camera. We want a three geometry dictionary. And then we want this signal, which should come from core. So now we got a ton of stuff. Okay, so we're already doing it. Now I do like to have my lower cases together up here. And I think it's like kind of like, I don't know why. I think it's just sort of my way of like kind of signaling to myself that I've done this properly. That I've actually put a lot of focus on it when I see those in. Um, when I see those in um, Geometry Dictionary. Uh-oh. My baby granddaughter looks like she's really starting. She's like starting to learn to eat, and so it's like always a challenge for her. Okay, so this is right as is. We don't have to do anything for the hash. All right, so then what did we do over in camera service? I do want to stay very. I don't really like copy and paste. Every time I copy and paste, I try to think to myself, okay, what am I doing here? Like, what is this something that should be copy pasted? I would say at this point it probably should not be copy pasted, but I don't know exactly what to do that would be better. But I'm starting to think, hey, maybe these should be sort of abstracted into a more generic solution instead of like copy pasting across all these. But this does have sort of a limit, like an end, where we're going to be all done and it's just done. And then at that point, it's probably the best time to build out the generic thing if I'm going to do it. So it'll be the time to determine like, is this time to, should it be done? And then if I'm going to do it, what's the best way? Because I have every example at that point. So the fact that there is no delete tells me that there's very likely a memory leak on this one, and this will be a really good opportunity to sort of um, um, okay, that is not the right one. Oh, maybe it was to sort of okay, yeah, this is off here. That needs to be this way, and then all of these need to be that way. Um, to do. Oh, so we'll be able to demonstrate the memory leak in this one. So this is geometry, right? We are in the geometry dictionary. This geometry dictionary. This is where you can end up with code that you don't understand, right? Because you just copied it from someplace else, and then you're just sort of tweaking the words. Um, so then this ends up being like very like we don't have to make any changes to it. That's also another little sort of signal that hey, maybe you have a something that could be put into a shareable function or abstracted as a lot of times. Now, if you do that, if I do decide to do that, I will definitely not want to do that in a singleton or a service, a classic Angular service. I'll want to do that in a um, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Oh, just like a plain old JavaScript class instead. Okay, so we know that this is a geometry dictionary that we're going to publish. Geometry dictionary. All right, so I think we've done everything that we want to do. Well, I mean, we need to come back and implement delete. So right now all we have is get. We have a way to set dimensions, and we have a create geometry. But really, we need a way to delete. And if we don't have a way to delete, then it's very clear that we have a memory leak here because you can't delete it. And a memory leak is when you stop using something, but you don't delete it. I guess that's a good way of putting a memory of that's a good way to describe one way to create a memory leak is use something, then quit using it, but don't ever actively delete it. If you put it in a dictionary, if you create a reference to it, I guess that's a little bit more. All right, so now we have our geometry service updated and we want to go back to our three component and we are already getting this. So we want to create a new effect. I think this, like these effects could be this sort of setup, since there's two of them. I think another way you could call those tuples. I believe that is a good use of that word. Okay, so this is three geometry service. I always have to be on like really extra alert at this point because this is where like misspellings end up getting, since it's in a comment, it's really easy to end up with like a misspelling that ends up there. All right, so I wanted to put these little signal comments at the top of my effects so that there's a quick place to just go look and see what comes in. Wonder if there's like a good thing for hash control pop. Yeah, I think that would be useful. So whenever you see this little telephone with a hash, that means it's a dictionary that is on a hash. Um, ooh, woo! Uh, Baby took a pretty good spill. Okay, so we have our three camera hash. So our three camera hash really only does one thing. It just fire. It just causes this thing to fire. It doesn't really do anything other than that. We don't use it for anything other than to determine that it changed. So probably like a concept that in other languages doesn't even like have a reason for existence. Service dictionary hash. All right, so and then we actually want the actual dictionary. No. Oh, that's funny. Okay. And so this is going to give me my three geometry dictionary. Three geometry dictionary. Okay, so now we have our three geometry dictionary. And I guess I want this where we create the row here. And then, so then this one, constant, which will be our geometry row. And then we'll say it is of type geometry, which should be okay. I think we strongly typed that down there. And then geometry. And so we don't really need to like inspect these dictionaries. All we need to do is transform them into JSON because we aren't doing anything with the actual data. We're just looking at it. So now we have our geometry row. So now we can just put a comma in geometry row. Now I don't like this, but it's awesome. So sometimes there's things you don't like, but it's just like they're really good. I don't really like setting up arrays this way, but man, talk about something that just really communicates intention. Like it is very clear that there's a camera row here and a geometry row here. There's really nothing left to the imagination. And it looks like that just works. So we didn't even touch the template, right? The template seems to just do its thing. So we add our viz. As you see, we have a geometry. So we expand this. We see that we have a box geometry with a width of one, a height of one. It's got these segments. It's got a version. It's got a type generator. So it's got this metadata. It's got the ST5 should be this, right? So this is a geometry, and sure enough, this is a geometry. Now, here's the important thing, and we're gonna show this thing. So I'm gonna come here, and then we're gonna delete this. And now when we hit back, we see we have nothing here. I believe we'll still have, yes, we still have a geometry. So this, my friends, is a memory leak. We have a geometry of width one, height one, depth one. It's got a UUID. It's got, who knows if this still exists because of this thing existing here. But we need to delete this guy and hope to heck that whatever this is gone. Whatever this references to is gone after we delete this thing, or maybe it's already gone. I don't know. But that would be a very interesting and difficult thing to fix in the future. And we might have to, because I'm just not going to dig into whether this UUID exists, or whatever this is referencing still exists. Um, and the reason is because in JavaScript, it's just so hard to even like it's like one of those Schrodinger cats thing, or that I can't remember what the law in physics is, where like the more you know it, where it is, like you can't determine the speed if you know the position, and you can't determine the position if you know the speed. And the closer, the better confidence you have on position, the lower your confidence is on speed, and vice versa. Like just merely trying to look at data tells you that in order to be able to try to look at it, you have to have a reference to it. As long as you have a reference to it, it still exists. So I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. But anyway, so we made pretty good progress on that. Let's see, how long is this video? I definitely want to head out to the beach. So this is 21 minutes. So it's a good video. So basically, we do currently have a geometry, um, what's it called? A geometry um, leak, memory leak of these geometry objects. So tomorrow, that's what I plan to do is delete add the delete and add the ability and go whatever I need to do so that we can delete this geometry. Um, and then I think that's going to be like sort of the process from here on out until we get to um, scenes. And once we have this working for scenes, I believe scenes is already. I think I've already set up the deletes and everything in scenes. But so basically saying, hey, I want to be able to show this here is opening the like if I was working in an enterprise environment, it would be better just to leave these and then create new stories so that the whole thing can get moved forward. The problem with that is that they're all the project managers and all those guys are always like eager to find um, to assign work, so like if you create a story for this, they'll likely assign it to somebody, and somebody will be like, I don't even know what you're talking about because we can't even see this leak. And they'll be like, oh, you have to wait till after this one. And then it becomes a big mess. But anyways, that is that. This is a for sure error state. We're going to fix this error state tomorrow. Have a nice day, everybody. Bye.